I'm Bob McGillivray. I'm the Director of Low Vision Services here at the Carroll Center. I've met a number of you in the past. I also work as a consultant to the Commission for the Blind in their technology program. But basically what I want to talk to you about today is visual functioning and the types of resources that might be available to you to be able to enhance the use of your vision. One of the things we talked about in an earlier Stargardt session that was said by a number of people is that you don't know what you don't know. And our role here is to help inform you. And our services here are here to help you. Now, you may not have the handouts, but when you leave on the table, there's two handouts that I suggest you get. One is this orange one. I think it was because it was printed in October, but this is the one about our tech fair. If you're interested in technology, whether it's low vision technology or non-visual technology, we have many of the distributors of those programs here at the Carroll Center. It becomes a very valuable and useful day with a number of different workshops, and that's all listed in there. There is another handout. There it is, I got it. Usually I print this on yellow paper, but it's on white paper, and it's about the low vision services we have here at the Carroll Center, such as low vision assessments, low vision technology training, low vision exams with the New England College of Optometry, low vision technology demonstrations, as well as our low vision store. So those handouts might be valuable, and it gives some information on who you may talk to. So when we talk about visual functioning, everybody that has changes in vision functions differently than everybody else. They may have the same condition, the same measurements, all those types of things, but that doesn't mean they're going to function the same. So we need to look at each person individually to determine what their condition is, what their needs are, what their goals are, and how they adapt to the different types of resources we might provide. So the key points I want to make is that when you have changes in vision, especially if you had it recently and it's new, you're going to function differently than when you learn the resources that might be available. I look at it this way. I have many people, especially some people in this room, that function primarily visual. And maybe they use some non-visual supplements, like a talking keychain or little devices like that. Then there's people that the vision functioning is not as good as they'd like, so that they use vision, but they also need non-visual types of things. They may use different computer programs or use voice and speech for different types of things and listen to audiobooks. And of course, if we go to the other end of that spectrum, we have people that primarily function non-visual. And that's when they need to know what those resources are and develop the skills. So everybody's different. So let's talk about the general approaches we use for the low vision population, the types of things I do. One thing I need to point out is any low vision approach to performing a task will have limitations. It's built in. They may be different, but there will be limitations. And so, as you'll hear me talk again and again, you have to adapt to those limitations. And of course, the approaches will run from very simple types of approaches to very complex approaches. I'm going to talk more about the things in the middle and the complex stuff. And you'll hear later more about some of the simple modifications. So the general approaches we use in the low vision field are these. Number one, magnification. If we make an image bigger and you have some useful vision, maybe you can see the image better, not necessarily sharper or clearer, just better. That's one approach, and we're going to talk about that in more depth in a few minutes. Other approaches that are just as valuable is controlling the lighting. Many people that have vision impairments find they need much more lighting than they used to. While they may be more sensitive to light, especially outdoor light, glare. You go into a supermarket and that light up above might be problematic. So we have to talk about controlling the lighting. The next thing is contrast, the difference between what you want to see and its background. Contrast becomes important, and we have to enhance it as we can. In the next sessions, you'll learn about the bold line paper, the large print pens. We have a large print calendar that has high contrast here. So contrast becomes a factor. We look at these things. The next thing that has become more involved in these low vision approaches is technology. Using the technology that's out there to be able to enhance the use of vision. And of course, when we're trying to improve a person's overall functioning, we have to look at other ways of doing things, such as non-visual supplements, voice, speech, tactile, audio, because that might allow a person to be able to do things for longer periods of time with less strain with their eyes, less eye fatigue. So we use a combination of these types of things. And then the last thing that I'm aware of in working with people is their ability to accept, adjust, and adapt to these new ways of doing things. It's not easy to accept that now this is your situation. I hate to use the term, but these are the cards you've been dealt, and you have to deal with it now. And you have to start adjusting to that. Seek out the resources that might work for you. And then if you get some of these resources, and I will get to them, you have to adapt to them. It may not be easy to be able to do some types of things. Let me give you an example here. One type of low vision approach that we use for magnification is high-powered reading glasses. I put these glasses on, everything's a blur. I take out my reading card, and I can't read anything on it until I bring it up to my nose. That is where these glasses are focused. Can you adapt to reading that way? Maybe, maybe not. So we have to look at these adaptations. So let's talk about the approach that we might use. The first is an assessment. Assess the visual potential and the visual limits. So we want to also assess a person's response to what I just talked about: magnification, lighting, contrast, technology, etc. We have to look at visual effort and visual strain. That's going to be a factor in a person's effectiveness with these devices. Productivity and competitiveness. I do a lot of work at job sites, and a person has to be able to perform the tasks that are required. Are they able to do it with these adaptations? And as I already mentioned, one thing that works for one person may not work for another person. So we need to be aware of that. The next thing that I have to be aware of is what are the goals that a person is looking to achieve? What are the details of those goals? What are the tasks that need to be performed? We may need a different device for each task that you want to perform. If you want to read Reader's Digest, you may need one device. If all you're going to do is sort your mail, another device might be useful. If you're going to be using your computer, well, maybe some computer software is available. So we have to look at the individual tasks to be able to do that. So when I'm looking at tasks, I break them down into 3 types of tasks. One is spot viewing. These are brief tasks. You want to look at an address. You want to look at your medicine bottle. You want to be able to identify what can you're opening, and you hope it's peas and not squash. Whatever it might be. These are short-term, and there could be inspection, such as I'm working with somebody right now who wants to look at electronic boards to inspect that they're correct. Then I have to look at a certain type of approach to that. All these tasks that I mentioned, we need to look at near tasks, intermediate tasks, and distance tasks. So spot viewing is one thing. The next is short-term viewing. Now you may need more information. You might need to read that letter you got in the mail. You might need to do more work on your computer. It may be a few sentences, recipes, menus, those types of things. And then there's extended viewing. Of course, that's much more complex. You need to read the newspaper. You need to read a proposal or a contract. You need to read a magazine. You want to read a book. So these 3, the spot, short-term, and extended, may determine the approach we want to take. So let's talk about the resources that are available. I'm going to just give you a little personal input here, is that on Thursday, I spent 4 hours with a distributor of low vision technology. 4 hours going over what is current, what is new, and talking about the trends for the future. There is so much out there and so much available. And that's how I get to know it, so that I can pass it on to people I'm working with. So as I mentioned, we're going to spend just a little bit more time on magnification approaches. So one other thing that sometimes gets overlooked is maybe not, maybe it's the first thing you do look at, is optical devices, a little hand magnifier that maybe you had in your stamp collection or you got from your grandmother. And it may magnify enough to give you some information. But a magnifier will only give you a small area of view, and you're going to have to move it around. You have to hold it at the right distance. And it's only one magnification. This happens to be 4. This happens to be 13. I'm holding up 2 magnifiers. One is about 3 inches across. The other is 1.5 inches across. Limitations. We're always looking at these limitations. A next approach that is probably more successful with people, but more costly, is video or electronic magnification. That is when you use a device designed specifically to give you the magnification you might need, variable magnification. It can also give you contrast. It could change it. It might be able to mask things so that you can only see a certain line at a time. I have a portable system here. It doesn't matter which brand it is. All the companies make them. I turn it on, and I can put it on my text here, and now everything is magnified. So I have a little 5-inch screen. Things are magnified. I can make them bigger. I can make them smaller if I push the right buttons. And I can change the contrast. I could do so much with this device, but it's costly. So we have to be aware of that. I can use this with a handle. So if I'm shopping, I can hold it up to whatever I want, and it shut off, so we need to turn it back on. And I can magnify whatever I want to look at out here. So we have this type of device. And of course, I think many of you know about the big CCTVs, as we call them, the video magnifiers. So those are available, and those are bulky, as I was talking earlier with somebody. They can be something that you have to go to. The portable ones you can take shopping, things like that. So there's all this type of things available, and what's happening is technology is getting very, very sophisticated. So I just want to show you a couple of more things in the few minutes that I have. For those that can see it, I'm holding something up that looks like a little laptop computer. But what it is a foldable CCTV that I can use to read print with. I can use to have it read print to me. I can use it to look at a distance. I'll see if I can set it up quickly. Turn it on. And so this device gives me many different options. This one doesn't have the feature, but some of them use tablets as the powerhouse here. And then the tablet can do email, internet access, things like that. So this is difficult to see from that angle that you're at, but here I am holding this up, and I can magnify the print, I can change the contrast, and then I have a camera here that I can twist and change this.
Line mask on.
That's not what I want. Hitting the wrong button.
Distance view.
Distance view. So now I'm looking out at the audience. Okay, and I can change the magnification. This might be useful in a school system. I mean, I can look at me. I can look at me too. Okay. So it does all that. I don't have time to show you, but earlier I had it read from the Reader's Digest out loud. So is this something that somebody in the room needs? We don't know. But I have many students that we might want to look at that type of thing. So I want to show you one more technology and then talk about two other things. Here's a pair of goggles that has a smartphone built into it, that when I put it on, and when it's ready, I forgot to turn it on earlier, I can now magnify what's out there so I see it in front of my face. Almost everyone that puts one of these on goes, wow, because you have an enlarged image close to your face. And then we have to determine, well, what are you going to use it for? What's it going to be helpful for? I can't walk around with this, and it still hasn't turned on, but she said she didn't mind. Debbie over there is wearing a different brand right now. So she's using that to watch what I'm doing. And she went to the Boston Public Library recently and was able to look at the artwork on the walls and the ceiling. It could work. It may not. It depends on what your tasks are. So now it's working. Now I can zoom in. I can almost, not quite read that new room number up there, but so I can see a lot of different things. I could change the contrast. Some of them I can actually have it read speech. So what are the new trends? The new trends are more sophistication, more portability, and the newest one is adding artificial intelligence. So Thursday I saw some equipment that it's a device that you put print under, takes a picture, it will summarize what it saw. I can ask it for information. What's the temperature I had to set my oven for? And it would read that out to me. I could interact with this device. I saw a pair of glasses, a more advanced version of what Debbie's using, that has a subscription of $50 a month. And I can do the same thing. She could ask it to describe what's out here, and it would describe the microphone and me and the device. And so it adds a little bit more. So this is all coming. The most fascinating thing I saw with these devices was it could read handwriting, and it could read my lousy handwriting accurately. I was a little shocked that's coming around. And of course, there's software available. But what are the concerns? The concerns are you need to have a proper and maybe professional assessment to be able to know what everything is out there and what gives you the best response. What's the most effective? Most people find out things word of mouth, the internet, the vendors. It's not the same. I have had too many people buy the first thing they see, and then they say, oh, I wish I had waited and got something else. Obtaining resources and the cost are always the issue. Costs are a huge issue. But the Carroll Center might be able to help you find the best device and maybe the best resource to help you. Of course, a lot of this technology is built right into your smartphone. It's like a Swiss Army knife. You have everything with you because you carry the phone with you. David's going to talk a little bit more about that. But so there's resources out there, and there's a lot going on, and we're here and we can help. Okay? Thank you.